There comes a moment, quiet, sharp, and unforgettable, when you look in the mirror and realize no one is coming to rescue you. No hand from the clouds, no magical sign, no sudden burst of luck. Just your face, your eyes, your spirit, standing toe to toe with life itself. And in that moment, a question rises from somewhere deep inside the bones. Will I rise, even when everything in me wants to fold? Because life is not fair. It never promised to be. It does not wait for your readiness, does not pause for your heartbreak, does not hand out rewards for effort alone. Life is a battlefield, and the war is won not by the strongest, not by the smartest, but by the most disciplined soul, the one who dares to wake up every day and say, I will push myself to be happy even now, especially now. Happiness, real, unshakable, forged in fire happiness, is not a gift. It is not a feeling that drifts down from the sky on a good day. It is a decision, a discipline, a daily rebellion against despair. And it takes everything, because when the bills pile up, when the people you love leave or betray you, when your dreams crumble and no one claps for you anymore, you have two choices: cave in or become something greater. And the truth most people will never face is this: it's easy to be miserable. It's easy to surrender to bitterness. It's easy to complain and wait and hope someone else changes your life. But that's not the path of the few who rise. That's not the code of the builders, the creators, the warriors of joy. Edison, when the fire burned down his factory and decades of work went up in smoke, stood calmly and said, "Thank God all our mistakes were burned up. Now we can start again." Imagine that. While others would mourn, he chose forward motion. He chose perspective. He chose to be happy, even when the ashes of everything he built were still warm under his feet. That's the mindset of the uncommon. That's the steel you must forge inside yourself. Push yourself to be happy, not in denial, but in defiance. Not because life is easy, but because you refuse to let it make you bitter. Because bitterness is a cage, and every day you give into it, you tighten the bars around your own spirit. But happiness, true happiness, is freedom. And freedom must be earned, not once but daily. And it begins here, by taking command of the battlefield of your mind. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of them. And most people live their entire lives shackled to lies they never questioned. I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed. I'm too broken. These are not facts. These are stories. And stories can be rewritten. Understand this. You are the author. You hold the pen. You hold the brush. You choose the color. Even when life slams your canvas with gray storms and heavy shadows, you can still carve light into the corners. You can still paint joy into your suffering. You can still choose to smile, not because everything is perfect, but because you are. And when you begin to rewrite your story, you begin to reshape your life. Henry Ford once said, "Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right." That's not just a clever quote. That's a law, a mental law, a spiritual law, a gravitational pull in the universe that drags reality toward belief. So you must choose to believe, not in luck, not in magic, but in your ability to choose how you respond, to pain, to loss, to challenge. Because no matter how heavy life becomes, no matter how deep the storm cuts, your response is still your power. And that power is sacred. You see, the world worships comfort. But comfort is the enemy of growth. It is in discomfort where the soul is refined. It is in difficulty where purpose is born. And yet, people wait for happiness to arrive like it's a package in the mail. They wait for someone to bring it, for the perfect job, for the right partner, for a moment when the stars align. But those who truly live don't wait. They create. They bend their pain into purpose. They hammer joy into their days like blacksmiths shaping steel. They wake up and say, "No matter what today brings, I will show up with strength. I will meet this life with fire in my eyes, and I will be happy. Not because life gave me a reason, but because I gave myself one." Because that's the secret the world doesn't want you to know. You don't have to feel like it to start. You don't need motivation. You need movement. Emotion follows action. And happiness, real happiness, begins the moment you do the thing your pain told you not to do. The moment you take that walk, even when you're tired. The moment you write that page, even when no one is watching. The moment you speak life over yourself, even when the voices in your head scream otherwise. Because every time you push yourself to be happy, to move forward, to lift your eyes to the horizon, you are planting a flag. A flag that says, I refuse to be defeated by the temporary. Hardship is temporary, but regret is eternal. So choose this moment, choose your breath, choose your thoughts, choose your words, choose your posture. Choose joy like it's your only weapon against the darkness, because it is. And when you do, something incredible happens. Life bends, not always at once, not always loudly, but slowly, quietly, it begins to reflect the strength you radiate. Because the world does not give to those who wait, it yields to those who show up. The world does not bend for wishful thinkers, it bows for those who keep moving when the road disappears. For those who walk through storms without an umbrella, soaked in pain, yet still carrying fire in their hearts. These are the ones who become legends, not because life was kind to them, but because they were unbreakable in its cruelty. Happiness, when earned in the furnace of adversity, becomes a kind of armor. It's not the smile you wear when everything's going well. It's the peace you forge when everything is falling apart. It's not the laugh at the party. It's the quiet strength in the silence of your room when no one is coming. When you sit in the dark and still choose to believe in the sunrise. Lincoln lost elections, businesses, and his sanity more than once. Death stalked his family. Depression clawed at his soul. Yet he kept showing up. Not because he was immune to suffering, but because he believed his life was bigger than his pain. That's happiness in its highest form. Not joy without suffering, but purpose that survives it. And if he could do that, if men and women across history could face fire, loss, rejection, poverty, shame, heartbreak, and still rise, then so can you. You are not weak for being tired. You are not broken because life knocked the wind out of you. But you are responsible for getting up. You are accountable for your attitude. You are the gatekeeper of your soul. Every morning, you're given a set of tools, thoughts, choices, words, and you can use them to build a life of complaint or a life of joy. You can focus on what's missing, or you can train your eyes to see what remains. You can curse the rain, or you can dance in it. That power is yours. It always has been. But you have to stop outsourcing your happiness to circumstances. Stop saying, I'll be happy when, because when never comes. And if it does, you'll find another reason to delay joy again. The truth? There are people right now with half of what you have, fighting twice as hard to smile. People in hospital beds who would trade everything for one healthy breath. People sleeping in cars who still greet the sun with gratitude. And you have this moment. You have this day. You have you. You want to be happy? Start there. Start with what you still have. Your body may be tired, but your soul still burns. Your account may be empty, but your imagination is full. Your past may be cracked, but your future is unwritten. What more permission do you need? And when life tests you, and it will, you respond with fire. Not fake positivity, not shallow affirmations, but real, gritty, no matter what joy. The kind forged from choosing to believe that your life still matters, that your days are still worth showing up for, that your pain can still become your platform. You see, the happiest people are not the luckiest. They are the most intentional. They don't wait to feel good to take action. They take action until they feel good. They don't beg life to change. They become the change. They decide every morning, I will not be ruled by how I feel. I will be ruled by what I know. And I know I am stronger than this. That is how transformation begins. You wake up and you move. You speak life over yourself. You stretch, you breathe, you write, you pray, you run, you show up. Even when it's messy. Especially when it's messy. Because perfection is a trap. And progress? Progress is a weapon. Every inch matters. Every step counts. Every decision builds or breaks you. So make your decisions count. Don't let the mood of the moment dictate the direction of your destiny. Don't let small setbacks turn into soul-sized prisons. The enemy is not the problem. It's your pattern of thinking, and you can break it. You can break the cycle. Do you understand what that means? It means you don't need a miracle to change your life. You need a morning, one decision, one act of courage when everything inside you says, stay in bed. That's where happiness begins, not in grand gestures, but in small sacred acts of rebellion against despair. Get up, drink water, say thank you, write something, stretch your body, look at the sky. Choose to see anything good, and then build your day around that. Do this and watch what happens. Not outside you, but inside you. Because the greatest shift will never be in your circumstances. It will be in your perception. That's the key. That's the hinge everything swings on. And it's a shift you can make right now. You can look at the same job, the same home, the same body, the same mirror, and choose to see treasure instead of trash. You can find power in the ordinary, purpose in the pain, and joy in the middle of your storm. But only if you push yourself. Only if you show up for your own happiness with the same intensity you've shown up for your pain. You've invested years in surviving. Why not invest one day in thriving? One day of choosing joy on purpose, one day of refusing to spiral, one day of seeing the light in yourself instead of waiting for someone else to point it out. And then do it again tomorrow, not because it's easy, but because it's yours. Because this life, this breath, this hour, this fragile, powerful heartbeat, it belongs to you. Not to the doubts, not to the pain, not to the opinions of those who never dared to chase their own joy. It belongs to the warrior inside you, waiting to be called into battle. And what greater battle is there than to protect your happiness in a world built to steal it? Think about it. Everything around you is designed to distract, to seduce, to pull your attention away from your own spirit. The noise, the news, the endless scrolling, it all whispers one thing. You are not enough. You need more. Be afraid. Be angry. Be less. But here's the truth no screen will ever tell you. You are already enough. Not because you've done it all, not because you're perfect, but because you're willing. Willing to keep rising. Willing to learn. Willing to look your fear in the face and say, you don't own me anymore. That willingness is everything. Andrew Carnegie wasn't born into fortune. He was born in a one-room house in Scotland and came to America dirt poor. But he believed in the power of pushing himself beyond circumstance. He didn't wait for happiness. He created it by building a future out of brick, sweat, and sheer will. He understood the universal law. Happiness is the byproduct of purpose in motion. You must move, you must do, you must give. Because happiness doesn't come from what you get. It comes from what you become. And becoming is hard. It means discipline when you'd rather quit. It means silence when you'd rather scream. It means waking up and doing the work, again and again and again, until your mind bends, until your habits transform, until your very identity evolves. That's what separates the average from the exceptional. Not talent, not opportunity, consistency in the face of chaos. That's how you earn joy that cannot be stolen. Not by chasing moments of comfort, but by becoming the kind of person who shines even in the dark, who refuses to be dimmed by struggle, who stares into the abyss and says, I'll build a bridge. Because pain will visit you. It will knock on your door in the form of loss, betrayal, illness, rejection. But it's what you do when pain comes that defines everything. Will you crumble? Will you numb? Or will you transform? That's the word. Transform, not escape, not avoid. Transform. Turn that sorrow into fuel, that heartbreak into art, that loneliness into wisdom, that confusion into clarity. Every great life has a chapter of darkness. Every hero has a valley. But those who rise from it, they walk differently. Their joy is deeper, their eyes are brighter, their laughter is earned, not inherited, because they didn't wait for life to be easier. They didn't sit around for motivation. They pushed themselves. They whispered thank you through clenched teeth. They smiled through tears. They moved mountains 1 inch at a time, not because they were superhuman, but because they refused to stop. And you? You can do the same. Yes, even with your flaws, even with your trauma, even with your exhaustion, because your soul is not defined by what's happened to you. It's defined by what you decide to become. So decide now. Decide to rise. Decide to smile today. Not because you feel like it, but because you're taking your power back. Decide to speak kindness, not because the world deserves it, but because you do. Decide to live like your happiness is sacred, because it is. You will not find peace in a perfect schedule, or the perfect body, or the perfect relationship. You will find it when you decide to make peace with the present moment and build joy into it like architecture. Every breath, a brick, every action, a beam, every thought, a spark of light shining through the scaffolding of a better life. This is how builders live. They don't wish for castles. They pick up hammers and build one moment at a time. And if no one sees it, if no one claps, if no one believes in your joy, build anyway. Let your happiness be between you and the universe. Let it be your private act of rebellion. Let it be your quiet roar. Because when you begin to show up for yourself in this way, consistently, unshakably, with grit and grace, life begins to bend toward you. Not all at once, but in whispers. You'll wake up one morning and notice your thoughts are gentler. Your breath is deeper. The way you carry yourself is lighter, grounded not in delusion, but in decision, because you've earned it. And you'll realize something powerful. The version of you who once waited for life to change is gone. Replaced by someone who knows in their bones that joy is not given. It is forged. And when others ask you, how did you do it? How did you stay happy when things were falling apart? You'll smile. Not because it was easy, but because you finally understood you were the fire all along. You were the fire all along. Not the flame others gave you, not the flicker borrowed from a moment of luck or praise or love. Your fire, lit by your own hands in the darkness, fed with tears, with grit, with refusal, protected through the winds of chaos. And now it burns, and that fire, that is your joy. It is not loud. It doesn't need to be. True happiness isn't about noise. It's about heat, depth, power. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing who you are and what you've survived. It's not found on mountaintops. It's forged in the valleys. The world will try to convince you otherwise. It will sell you happiness in tiny bottles, in filtered photos, in shiny distractions. It will tell you that you need more followers, more likes, more money, more validation. But that's a lie, one of the oldest ones. Because if happiness could be bought, the rich would never cry themselves to sleep. If happiness lived in attention, the famous would never feel alone. If happiness came from possessions, the powerful would never feel empty. But they do, because joy is not found in what you accumulate. It's found in what you activate. And you activate it by becoming the kind of person who lives with intention. Every day ask yourself, did I show up? Did I speak life into my own name? Did I move forward, even 1 inch, toward a future I believe in? Did I give love, even when it was hard to? Did I choose to feel alive, even in the middle of the storm? Because that's the real victory, not a perfect day, but a conscious one. One where you don't sleepwalk through your pain or coast through your blessings. One where you are present, awake, engaged, responsible for your joy. And that responsibility, it's not a burden, it's a privilege, because it means you are no longer at the mercy of the world. It means you've taken the wheel. You've stopped blaming your childhood. You've stopped blaming your ex. You've stopped blaming the system, the market, the weather, the year. You've said to life, I own this. And from that moment forward, you are free. Because nothing can enslave the mind of a person who has chosen happiness. Not surface-level happiness. Rooted happiness. Grown like an oak tree in the soil of adversity. Happiness that is earned, not gifted. People will wonder why you smile when things are tough. Why you keep going when others collapse. Why your light doesn't dim, even when the world gets dark. They won't understand that you've built something unshakable inside you. They won't understand that you rewired your very philosophy, that you no longer expect life to be easy. You expect yourself to be strong, that you no longer chase comfort, you chase growth, that you no longer settle for moments of escape. You build a foundation of joy that no loss, no betrayal, no chaos can rip from your soul. And when you live like that, truly live like that, life begins to mirror you. Opportunities open. People are drawn to your energy, not because you're faking positivity, but because you've become a living example of possibility. You're not trying to be impressive. You're not trying to be perfect. You're just awake, grounded, joyful, not in denial, but in dominion. You have taken dominion over your inner world, and that makes you dangerous. Dangerous to a culture that profits off your sadness. Dangerous to a system that wants you to be small. Dangerous to the versions of yourself that used to give up too easily. Because you no longer fold under pressure. You press back. You no longer look to others for light. You become it. And from this place, this powerful, grounded inner flame, you begin to radiate a new kind of strength. Not the strength that dominates others, but the strength that lifts them. Not the strength of noise, but the strength of peace. Not the strength of ego, but the strength of purpose. And what is that purpose? To live. To truly live. To inhale life. To exhale gratitude. To walk through fire and keep your smile. To take every wound and turn it into wisdom. To take every loss and turn it into leverage. To take every hard day and say, "This is not the end of me. This is the making of me." Because you've seen the worst, you've felt the breaking, and still you choose to rise, you choose to build joy into your everyday, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Because the world needs more of it. Because the people you love need to see you shine. Because the younger version of you, who begged for just one day of peace, deserves to see that it was possible all along. That younger version of you, the one who sat alone in silence, feeling invisible, praying for just one glimpse of light, they're watching you now. And every time you choose to smile when it's hard, every time you show up despite the fear, every time you speak kindly to yourself instead of tearing yourself apart, you heal them. You reach back through time and whisper, "You made it. I've got us now." And that may be the most powerful thing of all, realizing that happiness isn't just for you. It's an act of redemption, of becoming the person you needed when you were lost, of breaking the cycles that crushed your joy, of standing as proof that darkness doesn't win, not if you fight back. And happiness is a fight, a holy one. It takes work, it takes presence, it takes being honest with yourself when it would be easier to blame. It takes cutting the excuses, canceling the pity party, and remembering you're still alive. Do you understand how wild that is? You, against all odds, despite the setbacks, through the heartbreak, the quiet nights, the pain that no one saw, you are still here. And being here means you're not done. There is still life in your lungs, purpose in your pain, meaning in your movement. You don't have to know the entire path. You don't have to feel 100%. You just have to decide that today is worth showing up for, that this moment is worthy of effort, that you are worthy of happiness even if life tried to convince you otherwise. It's not about denying what's hard. It's about declaring what's true. And here's the truth. You are powerful. You are needed. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are the architect of your becoming. You are the fire that refuses to be extinguished. You are the storm that learns to dance in the rain. You are joy, in motion, in scars, in full bloom. And if you fall tomorrow, you get back up. And if you cry tonight, you wipe your face and breathe. And if you doubt, you remind yourself, this is part of the journey. Not a setback, just another step toward a deeper self. Because happiness isn't found in perfection, it's found in the courage to keep going. To keep planting seeds, even when the soil looks dead. To keep giving your best, even when no one claps. To keep trusting the process, even when you don't see the results yet. And that's what separates the fulfilled from the frustrated. Not intelligence, not background, persistence. The discipline to push yourself toward joy like your life depends on it, because it does. Not everyone will understand. Some will mock you, some will try to pull you back down into misery, because that's where they feel safe. Misery loves company, but you don't belong there anymore. You've chosen a different road. And it will get lonely sometimes, but never confuse loneliness with failure. Sometimes being alone is proof that you're ahead. And it will get lonely sometimes, but never confuse loneliness with failure. Sometimes being alone is proof that you're ahead. Keep walking, keep rising, keep choosing to love your life before it's perfect, because that's the paradox. When you love it now, when you give thanks for what is already here, you unlock the floodgates for more. Gratitude is not a trick, it's a technology. It rewires the mind, it shifts your vibration, it creates space where there was once scarcity. Want to be happy? Start by saying thank you, out loud, for the breath, for the day, for the struggle, for the lessons, for the strength you forgot you had. Say it before you feel it, and then say it again. This is how warriors train their spirit, not in perfect gyms with soft mats, but in real life, messy life, painful life, magnificent life. They wake up with battle scars and still say, "Today, I choose joy." They push themselves not because they feel like it, but because they decided who they are. And you? You are one of them now, not just a survivor, not just a fighter, a creator of joy, a source of light, a spark that becomes a wildfire, unstoppable, undeniable, and unshakable. And the best part? You don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for someone to give you hope. You become the hope. You become the answer. You become the example that proves, no matter how hard life gets, happiness is still possible. And not just possible, it is your birthright. It is your birthright, but you must fight for it, not against others, not against the world, against your own conditioning, against the stories you were told by people who gave up, against the wiring in your mind that says, play it safe, stay small, be realistic. No, you were not born for smallness. You were not made for quiet despair. You were born to feel everything deeply and rise anyway, to break and heal and break again, stronger each time, to become the kind of soul whose joy is so real it rattles the cages of those still asleep. That is your assignment, to wake up, to remember that happiness is not soft, it is not naive, it is not weak, it is the fiercest thing you will ever build. It is what makes you invincible. Because once you decide to be happy, on your own terms, without condition, you are free. And what can you do with that kind of freedom? Everything. You can walk away from anything that dims your fire. You can create art that moves the world. You can build a legacy that outlives your body. You can love without fear. You can forgive without losing power. You can live fully, not just exist, because you're not chasing happiness anymore. You're embodying it. It's in the way you speak to yourself when you mess up. It's in the way you carry yourself through a day that didn't go your way. It's in the way you show up for others. Not because you need validation, but because you are full. You become a fountain instead of a drain. You become a thermostat, not a thermometer. You set the emotional tone, not just react to it. That's the shift, from reaction to creation, from waiting to building, from hoping to deciding. And the beauty? No one can stop you. They can criticize, mock, abandon, misunderstand. But they cannot take your choice away. They cannot touch the decision you've made in your core. I will be happy, not fake happy, not distracted happy, not social media happy, real happy, inner peace happy, soul on fire happy, the kind of happy that makes storms nervous to mess with me. And when you live like that, when you radiate that kind of conviction, you begin to attract people, opportunities, and miracles that match your vibration. It's not magic, it's alignment. Because the universe does not respond to desperation. It responds to clarity. Clarity that says, I know who I am. I know what I'm building. I know what I will no longer tolerate. And that clarity gives birth to power. Not the kind of power that dominates, the kind of power that anchors, the kind of power that walks into a room and doesn't need to say a word. Because your presence speaks louder than any explanation ever could. This is what happens when you stop being a victim of circumstance and start being a guardian of your own joy. You become the eye of the storm, calm, centered, focused. You don't panic when the winds blow, you breathe. You don't crumble when others leave, you bless their exit. You don't beg life to be easier, you make yourself stronger. Because you finally understand that true happiness isn't about everything going right. It's about becoming right with everything. That kind of happiness is unstoppable. And it grows with every moment you choose it. Every time you pause before reacting. Every time you smile without a reason. Every time you slow down and feel instead of numb. Every time you whisper, "Thank you," when life gives you something you didn't ask for. That's the kind of happiness that builds legacies. And when the day comes that your body is tired, your time is near, and your life flashes before you, what do you want to feel? Do you want to look back and remember how much you worried? How often you complained? How long you waited for things to get better before you decided to be alive? Or do you want to smile, knowing you lived fully, wildly, unapologetically? It is your birthright, but you must fight for it, not against others, not against the world, against your own conditioning, against the stories you were told by people who gave up, against the wiring in your mind that says, play it safe, stay small, be realistic. No. You were not born for smallness. You were not made for quiet despair. You were born to feel everything deeply and rise anyway, to break and heal and break again, stronger each time, to become the kind of soul whose joy is so real it rattles the cages of those still asleep. That is your assignment. To wake up, to remember that happiness is not soft, it is not naive, it is not weak, it is the fiercest thing you will ever build. It is what makes you invincible, because once you decide to be happy, on your own terms, without condition, you are free. And what can you do with that kind of freedom? Everything. You can walk away from anything that dims your fire. You can create art that moves the world. You can build a legacy that outlives your body. You can love without fear. You can forgive without losing power. You can live fully, not just exist, because you're not chasing happiness anymore. You're embodying it. It's in the way you speak to yourself when you mess up. It's in the way you carry yourself through a day that didn't go your way. It's in the way you show up for others, not because you need validation, but because you are full. You become a fountain instead of a drain. You become a thermostat, not a thermometer. You set the emotional tone, not just react to it. That's the shift. From reaction to creation, from waiting to building, from hoping to deciding. And the beauty, no one can stop you. They can criticize, mock, abandon, misunderstand, but they cannot take your choice away. They cannot touch the decision you've made in your core. I will be happy. Not fake happy, not distracted happy, not social media happy. Real happy. Inner peace happy. Soul on fire happy. The kind of happy that makes storms nervous to mess with me. And when you live like that, when you radiate that kind of conviction, you begin to attract people, opportunities, and miracles that match your vibration. It's not magic, it's alignment. Because the universe does not respond to desperation, it responds to clarity. Clarity that says, I know who I am, I know what I'm building, I know what I will no longer tolerate. And that clarity gives birth to power. Not the kind of power that dominates, the kind of power that anchors. The kind of power that walks into a room and doesn't need to say a word, because your presence speaks louder than any explanation ever could. This is what happens when you stop being a victim of circumstance and start being a guardian of your own joy. You become the eye of the storm, calm, centered, focused. You don't panic when the winds blow. You breathe. You don't crumble when others leave. You bless their exit. You don't beg life to be easier. You make yourself stronger. Because you finally understand that true happiness isn't about everything going right. It's about becoming right with everything. That kind of happiness is unstoppable. And it grows with every moment you choose it. Every time you pause before reacting, every time you smile without a reason, every time you slow down and feel instead of numb, every time you whisper, thank you, when life gives you something you didn't ask for. That's the kind of happiness that builds legacies. And when the day comes that your body is tired, your time is near, and your life flashes before you, what do you want to feel? Do you want to look back and remember how much you worried? How often you complained? How long you waited for things to get better before you decided to be alive? Or do you want to smile, knowing you lived, fully, wildly, unapologetically, that you turned pain into peace, that you loved deeply, that you left nothing on the table, that you became the light you once searched for? That you pushed yourself to be happy every single day, not because it was easy, but because it was worth it. Because you were worth it. You still are. You always have been. You always have been, even on the days you felt invisible. Even when you made mistakes so big they echoed through your chest at night. Even when you lost people, lost chances, lost faith in yourself, you were never less than worthy of joy. You were just buried beneath noise, beneath fear, beneath a world that never taught you how to fight for your happiness, only how to chase after temporary highs. But now you know better. Now you see it clearly. Happiness is not pleasure. It's not escape. It's not about avoiding the storm. It's about becoming the person who dances in the rain and grows roots in the flood. And when you do that, when you stop waiting for the outside world to deliver something only your spirit can create, you become limitless. Because happiness unlocks everything. When you are joyful from within, your decisions become braver. Your vision becomes clearer. Your actions become more aligned. You stop proving yourself and start expressing yourself. You stop surviving and start creating. You stop being a product of your past and become a force for your future. This is what the great ones knew. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But the mind can only believe when the heart is awake, when it beats not with fear, but with hope. So awaken your heart. Breathe life into it every morning. Talk to it like a warrior. Tell it, I will not abandon you today. I will not betray your dreams just because life feels heavy. I will not choose numbness over joy, not anymore. I will rise. I will move. I will feel. I will live. And as you do, day by day your energy will shift. You'll stop asking, why is life so hard? And start asking, how strong can I become? You'll stop saying, I wish it was different, and start saying, I'm building something better. Because you are. You are not broken. You are becoming. And in your becoming, you light the path for others. Do not underestimate what that means. When you choose happiness in a hard world, you become a rebel. When you show love in a bitter world, you become a leader. When you find joy in your own soul and not in things, you become free. And free people liberate everyone they touch. So this commitment to push yourself to be happy every day, even when life is hard, it is not selfish. It is a mission. It is what the world needs most. Because the world is not dying from a lack of resources. It's dying from a lack of light. And you are the answer. Not because you're perfect, not because you've never fallen, but because you kept getting back up with your fire intact. So don't stop now. Don't wait another year. Don't lose another day. Don't waste another minute thinking you need permission to be alive. Today is the day. This breath is the doorway. This decision, the one you make right now, can change everything. So push yourself. Not to be popular, not to be accepted, not to be impressive. Push yourself to be happy. Even here, even now, even in the middle of the mess. Because that is where greatness begins. In the quiet decision to rise with joy when every reason says, don't. And if you do that, if you make that your habit, if you build that into your code, there will come a day, soon, when you look around and realize, the storm didn't win, the darkness didn't last, the pain became purpose, and you became free. Not because life was perfect, but because you were powerful, because you were the fire all along and you still are.